Okay, great. So, hi, I'm Alisa. I actually gave this presentation at the final session of last year's challenge. And I was really pleased to have the opportunity to come and talk about the importance of communications because I work with a lot of clean tech companies. That's exclusively what my company does. And it's just completely astonishing to me how late people start thinking about comms. But the fact is, whether you think you're doing this or not, you're probably sitting there thinking, my God, I'm thinking about intellectual property and accessing finance. I'm going to pay for comms sometimes sort of 5 years down the road when I have a big budget. You are doing comms as soon as you start talking about your idea. I've just come from a meeting with a potential client who said, oh, we know our comms are a mess, but we've only been doing it for 18 months. The company is 5 years old, so they've been doing comms for an awful lot longer than that. So it's great to kind of have the opportunity to talk a little bit about why I think that's important, how I think it can be done well, and hopefully that will be useful to you as you put together your ideas for either for the challenge or just for putting your business together. So very quickly, Life Science Media, we communicate innovations in sustainability. I think that's all I need to say about what we do. As Flora mentioned, I have the experience of setting up 2 companies. Life Science Media and previously a carbon capture and storage project development company, so forgive the pun, but I do have the experience of being on the coalface of setting up a clean tech company. What I learned there was really just about reinforcing how important communicating is. We were trying to put together coal gasification with alkaline fuel cells through to carbon capture and storage. There's an awful lot of very complex technology put together there in very conservative industries. It doesn't get much more conservative than coal and energy, and basically my job was about explaining these technologies together, explaining to people why they should be put together, and explaining how that was going to change the sort of energy landscape. So a kind of big rationale for why I started my company is that I learned from my own experience that scientists and engineers are often not the best people to talk about a company, but comms is crucial and it is so often overlooked. And chances are you're not going to be in a position to get somebody who is an expert in comms to do this for you for quite some time, so you need to start thinking about it yourself. So I'm going to quickly whip through my sort of top 10 comms suggestions. I'm going to have to go quite quickly because we don't have that much time, but hopefully some of this will be helpful to you. So, number 1, communications are crucial to success. As I said, you are already communicating. If you think about it in the context of this challenge, nobody is going to see your technology. No one's actually going to come up and look around it. What they're going to hear is you talking about your technology. So it's absolutely crucial that you get that right. A lot of companies' reputation is tied up with how well they do the comms. If you think about some of the companies maybe in the field that you're looking at, there's a reason you know about them and you know what they're doing, and that's probably because they're communicating well around it. It just has to be done. You could have a magic box that's going to save the world and solve climate change, but if nobody knows about it, it ain't going to do it. And I really would urge you to start thinking about this now so that you can build a good foundation to work from. So number 2, I think you should be able to describe your business in one line. It isn't easy. It kind of sounds simple. It really isn't. It's taken us about 3 years to come up with communicating innovations in sustainability and feel happy with that. But once you get it, it's really worth it. And I think I would go as far as saying if you can't describe it in one line, then you don't know your business idea well enough. It's also really important because people have tiny little attention spans, and the chances are that one day you will meet someone who could change everything for you and you'll get about 30 seconds with them. So you want to make sure that you're going to make that 30 seconds count, and you can do that by knowing how to talk about your business really quickly and clearly. It's also a really good discipline because I find that it helps you to define your business. It helps you to think very carefully about your objectives and what might be right or wrong for you, because you can tie everything back to that one line. So, very often we have, say, business opportunities or clients that come to us and we're thinking whether they're the right clients to work with. Well, if we come back to whether it's communicating innovations and sustainability, that gives us a guide for everything that we do going forward. So just very quickly, some examples. We did my company. I think that's actually, you can see how quickly it's changed because that was our old tagline. OCG Lighting, specialist in advanced lighting solutions, delivering innovative LED technology to a broad range of markets. Bioplastics, the UK's leading supplier of start-based bioplastics. So it can be quite simple. The next stage following on from this, I would say, is to develop high-level messaging. This is basically about developing content to describe your business in varying lengths. So you're looking at getting together kind of a tagline, one line, one paragraph, and one pager. Again, this is going to take some time, but it's going to give you really valuable content that you can use in all kinds of different contexts, depending on how long you want to talk about your business. And it means that you can be really consistent when you're talking about your business, and also as you start to work with other people and bring more people into the business, you can make sure that everybody is talking about it in the same way. Number 4, don't underestimate visual impressions. Facts of life, people make judgments very quickly, and first impressions are hard to overturn. So, if you put a presentation forward for this challenge, even if it's a brilliant idea, even if it's really well written, if it's sloppily put together, if you've kind of been using inconsistent fonts, if there's no kind of visual consistency through it, I'm going to make a judgment about you and your seriousness about this idea in this competition. So it's really something that you do need to start thinking about. And of course, I wouldn't expect you'd want to go out and do a huge rebranding exercise, but it can be done really with the most basic of things, like just pick a font for yourself, pick a color scheme that you're going to use, maybe have a very simple logo, even if it's only something temporary, so that you're kind of setting out your stall and making a statement about how seriously you take yourself as a company and as an idea, because that's the very first thing people are going to see before they even get to page 2 of your presentation. So here's just some quick examples of where these are brands that we've developed for clients. I haven't used the logo, but you can see that there's a kind of a clear font and color scheme, even down to kind of use of bullet points that you would associate with this client if you were familiar with their branding. And here's another example of a different scheme and font and kind of look to a client. Moving on from that, so the next step is to develop marketing materials. And there really isn't any excuse not to do these kinds of things, because it doesn't cost a lot and it doesn't take a lot. I mean, you can get business cards on, I won't say when, you can get business cards online for a very low cost, and that makes a big difference into how you're presenting yourself. Even things like the presentation that you might develop for this competition, that's a really useful piece of material to have when you're meeting people and you're explaining your idea. A one-pager that lays out your idea, and one page that you can leave behind with people, you can email as an attachment, and even a simple website. Again, it's really cheap to do this. You can use the content that you develop for your high-level messaging, just have something there you can direct people to that clearly conveys what you're all about. 6, spread the word. I think very often you kind of get to a stage with business where you think, well, why isn't this moving forward? Why aren't people excited about it? Why aren't I kind of meeting the people that I need to meet to take this forward? And there's a lot that you can do to make that happen. And some of these channels will be right for you and some won't, but there is an awful lot out there. So, social media, particularly the professional networks like LinkedIn, attending events, entering yourself reward, even looking at kind of press opportunities, even quite early on, just to kind of get yourself out there and get your idea out there and get people talking about you, and then building yourself a network, which is going to be absolutely invaluable in helping you to develop your idea. Because no matter how good it is, it just won't happen on your own. 7, remember the bigger picture. This is, I would say, the foundation upon which my entire company is founded and all the work that we do, and what differentiates us in terms of the kind of comms work that we do. Basically, to put it bluntly, nobody cares about you or your idea. What they care about is much bigger picture. They care about world problems. They care about the issues that their company is facing. So you need to think about, how does your technology fit in with the issues of the day? What bigger problems is it targeting? What are you solving? And why is it important to real people in the real world? And I think it's really important that you start from that point of view. If you get a meeting with a massive company like GE, don't go in there and start from the point of view, well, this is my journey and this is what I've done. Go in there and identify what their problems are and what they're looking to solve, and then explain how you are going to do that for them, and that's really going to get their attention. So here are some quick examples of, these are some clients and how you can convey technologies and how they fit into the big picture. So alkaline fuel cells, nobody cares about your breakthrough with the electrolyte that you're using. What they care about is climate change and energy security. LED lighting, you might have a brilliant IP around the thermal junction, regulates temperature, la 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 la. What really people care about is how that bit fits in with the big energy efficiency agenda that the government is driving. Diesel particulate traps, I know they're so boring I don't even want to go into them, but what they can do is make a massive contribution to air pollution, and to the quality of life for people, and to reducing health issues. Number 8, put the focus on the commercial case. I am an environmentalist, whatever that means. I believe that climate change is the biggest challenge facing mankind, but I also have a certain pragmatic approach where I believe that money is what makes the world go round. Just being better for the environment, sadly, isn't enough. You have to show people how you're going to make money. You have to make a very clear financial case, and I think it's really important that you lead with that. I think that the technologies that are going to revolutionise our future, that are going to create a low-carbon future, are the ones that are also going to make people more money and do things more efficiently. To come back to my examples, alkaline fuel cells can lead to cheaper electricity production, LED lighting, lower energy bills, reducing maintenance costs, diesel particulate traps. They help you to avoid emissions fines, and they can lower NHS bills. Number 9, know your audience. I think this is, again, one that people often struggle with. I've talked a lot about being consistent. Yes, you do need to be consistent, but that doesn't mean that you can take a one-size-fits-all approach. You have to think about who your audience is. Again, it comes down to people's attention spans. You've got to lead with what is interesting to them. You know, if you're talking to a potential investor, make the financial case. You know, if you're talking to an NGO that might want to support you, think about what their agenda is and how you fit in with that. I think knowing what the audience that you're conveying to, knowing what their agenda is and what's important to them, if you can answer that, then you're giving yourself a really good head start. So a kind of quick example with LED lighting, looking at some different environments and how you can target those audiences. So offices, what they're interested in cost saving, heavy industry, carbon reduction commitments, hazardous industry are most interested in maintenance savings, healthcare, it's all about patient experience, and finance directors really just want to know about the return on investment. So my final piece of advice really isn't about comms, it was just the best piece of business advice that I've ever been given, and I thought I would therefore share it with you. Present yourself like the company that you want to be. Think about the kind of people that you would want to meet in an ideal world, the kind of companies you would be wanting to work with, and think about how they present themselves. And that's, I think, what you should aspire to. And I'm a big believer that if you act like the kind of company you want to be, you have giving yourself a really good chance of becoming that company. This is just a little example of personal hero Steve Jobs, and this is my co-founder and I on our very first day in our very first office, where we had, as you can see, no desks and sat on the floor for the whole day. I can guarantee none of our clients had any idea that's where we were, because we acted like the company that we wanted to be, and we're on our way to getting there. Okay, thank you.